And I was privileged to serve in one of the subcommittees then in that conference, specifically in the publicity committee, that had the responsibility of bringing this conference to limelight. And we had media organizations and other individuals come to attend that conference, and it was done in an environment that was really well secured. It was a redeemed, camp, there on your way, to Lagos. And a lot of pastors that attended were very excited. In fact, you had comments like, why can't ECWA have a conference ground like this? Because we had sufficient accommodation, we had a very good venue and everything like that. And that motivated pastors from that conference. In fact, I remembered some people saying, well, from the proceeds we have actually gathered for this conference, let's go and begin to develop our own conference ground. And that was where the issue of working on the conference ground we have at Buhari, actually came up. The idea was the next conference should take place in our own ground. And that was what happened in 2017. It was supposed to be there. Now, some of the challenges we had in 2017, I was not on this, central planning committee. Then, I was just in a subcommittee that had to develop the issue of the communique for that conference. But what I saw, it's a kind of a shift. Because pastors had demanded that we go to a conference ground, and the executive then really worked on making sure we get to that ground. Some of the pastors will have the opinion that even if we are going to sleep on bare ground, let's go to our own conference ground. But like 2 weeks before the conference, the venue changed. And so some of the challenges we saw in the last conference was as a result of the last minute change of venue. Because the executive had said, well, the General Council said we should do it in our own ground. And I was in the General Church Council at that time as a district secretary. And that is what we insisted. But the conference committee kept saying, no, that will not really be very healthy. There are some challenges, security challenges, and then the issue of accommodation and other things like that. And so it was shifted to Bingham University. Well, Bingham University only gave the facility because it's a university. The students were still on ground, and they had to close, for the Christmas before we could do the conference. So the committee had a lot of challenges in trying to organize and plan the conferences, and that is why we saw some of the things that we saw at that time. But what I'm saying that we're going to have some changes is because we have been working along with Bingham University in the last 2 years to make sure the conference holds, in that place, and we've gotten a full cooperation from the management of the university. We've been meeting with them, we've been talking with them, and that is why even the date, we are having now 6 to 10. It was initially supposed to have been in November. Yes. But looking at the academic calendar of the school, the students were just resuming back, and then after like 3-4 weeks, you ask them to vacate for conference. It was not making sense. It's our own institution, and we needed to really understand along with them, and so we allowed them to walk through.
Well on us as
it wouldn't. And we had to allow them to walk through, to the mid-semester when they were supposed to be closing, and then we fixed our conference there. We again have, the opportunity to use their, all their hostels now. Is able to accommodate the number of pastors we're expecting for that conference. We're able to make adequate plans to get, hotels around, the university, for those that will be willing to stay in that place, to get as a subsidized rate. We've been able to make sure we have everything, and we, in our own plans, don't anticipate anyone to sleep anywhere outside either the hotels or the hostels in the university. That, to a large extent, for me, will make a whole lot of difference, from what we used to have before. And I don't blame the committee in the last one because of the time, frame that they actually had in the planning. But, beyond that, we again have more facilities now that we can be able to use in the university there, which will go a long way in helping us to be able to have a wonderful conference, this time around. So we are trusting that things will be different from what, was obtained in the conference that, took place in 2017. Yes.
Okay. This should have been a background question, but I would like to ask now, though. I just want to understand, why do we always have the pastors' conference? Like, what brought about the pastors' conference in the first place?
Okay, it's really very important that we have pastors' conference because we have a scriptural principles that says an iron sharpens an iron. If every pastor is allowed to work in isolation, there are a lot of things that could come up that he will not be able to handle even as he ministers, in his own locality. But the need for pastors to come together and rub their minds, the need for them to fellowship, the need for them to stay away from their own environment and share their experiences with their colleagues, stood out very clearly as why the conferences will have to actually, be organized. The need for them to also be instructed the more, because no matter who you are, if you stay a long way without having someone to put you through a thing, you might not really be effective. But if you come, your axes are being sharpened so that you return back again to do ministry more effectively, and then the people will benefit in what you're doing. I'm sure after each of the conferences, members could actually testify that when their pastors come back, they do better than they were doing, before the conferences, because they interact, because they listen to teachings, because they, the sermon comes to encourage them, and because they interact with colleagues who will tell them one thing or the other on how to handle some of the challenges, and so you find some changes, going on when they return back. So I feel strongly that's one of the reasons why we have the conference, the pastors' conference, take place.
Earlier you mentioned that's about the planning, where you said strategies have been employed to see that people stay in their hostels or the hotel and they don't sleep anywhere else except this. Can you maybe tell us, just maybe from the top of your head or from your expectation, how many pastors are you expecting?
Yeah, we actually are working on that, because one of the things we did was to ask every pastor to register, to pre-register, and then we're having a list of pastors that are coming. But you know what happens, that sometimes this is the number that have actually shown interest, but at the dying minute, some, I don't want to call them crashers, but some people will actually come and they are friends and they are colleagues, and we cannot tell them not to actually attend. But so far we've been working with the figure 6,000 pastors, because from our registrations, that is what we've been able to get already. And I was just working on that before I came to this place, to be able to ascertain the exact number of pastors. Now, what we discovered that have registered, yes, that have registered, and so walking through, the spaces we have in the hostels in Bingham University, again, graciously, the Equa Portfolio Management Limited had actually added one new, hostel block that is actually dedicated, and so we're having additional spaces to use. As at the last time we went to that place, we are comfortably going to house, like 5,813, pastors, just having 4 in a particular room. We've worked, on that already, and remember, I said some are going to be in the hostel, hotels outside, close to the university. So we are really very comfortable that we're going to have every pastor in the hostels, for this conference, so that they are comfortably accommodated there.
Still on the pastors, though, how do you check the pastors that are absent at the conference? I think it's more like a compulsory exercise.
It's a compulsory exercise. Pastors are supposed to be there, but again, for one reason or the other, some might not be there. Maybe ill health, maybe some emergencies that might actually come, because I don't expect a pastor whose member has a challenge, or he a member is dead or something, to just abandon and begin to come because of the conference. We ask the district secretaries to be able to actually check that, because they are the administrators in the different DCCs. They have the number of their pastors that are coming, and they know those pastors that are going to be in the conference. So the district secretary should be able to tell us the pastors that have actually come, and if any has not, is not present, he should be able to explain to us why that pastor is not present. And for genuine reasons, we'll actually understand that this pastor couldn't make it because of these reasons.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. There's one thing that the reason why I raised the earlier question, because there are some complaints even from some of the pastors, not directly, but while walking at the venue, you hear them, just discussing with themselves because of certain things. But to be honest, I am more clear now by this explanation, and I believe that's what most pastors there that are in the dark, that didn't really get what really was the problem then. And with your explanation, I think if you are out there and you left that venue with that mindset that why would things go like this, I think now by now you should clear your mind, and then with the assurance that this particular one that will be different, you know, and that is what we are expecting. I want to say this. I don't know, are you in charge of because we normally have vendors there? Is the secretariat in charge, or you have a subcommittee?
Yeah, we have a subcommittee for the vendors that will actually be displaying their wares at the national conference. And in the last meeting we had, you know, the chairman that is actually saddled with our responsibility is the same person that is saddled with the responsibility for the accommodation and the venue, you know, of the conference. And he brought about a proposal of the fact that everyone that is coming to display their wares or to sell, you know, during the conference will actually be asked to pay some amount of money. And I think the highest from his own proposal will just pay like 3,000 naira. That is basically for those that will be selling food. But it's even as low as some that will be paying just 1,000 naira because of the kind of because of the kind of businesses they are coming there to do. They are not going to be charged equally. The person that is coming to just sell recharge card, you know that what he makes is not going to be the same with the person that is going to cook food and sell. The one that is going to come and display maybe his CDs or tapes or whatever to sell is might not be getting the same with those that are coming to sell, you know, clothes for people to wear. And all of these are always there. So they had categorized, you know, that, and you know, they are going to be working on the first person that comes should be able to get the, you know, the best space that he or she is actually looking for. So for those that are interested in coming, it's really very important that they come on time so they are able to get, you know, strategic locations for their own businesses. And if they just, you know, able to get in touch with us, you know, with us in the secretariat here, we'll be able to connect them. Actually, a lot of people have called me already to ask, you know, for those kind of reservations, and I've connected them with the chairman. And in the last meeting, he had reported that yes, there are people that have, you know, contacted him. We went to survey the place, and yes, it's a possible thing that they are going to have those opportunities to display their wares. They are always welcome.
The reason why I ask, because we notice in between a program, whether a teaching or something, that is when you find that activities of buying and selling, it's really active, and it's more like well, everyone is an adult. So I don't really know. I believe you bear me witness, you know, seeing that happen. Is there any measure to really curtail this? Because I feel it is very, very important if we are giving, if we are to stand by our name, you know, attached to the conference, international conference, you know, of Equa Pastors happening for 4 years, and then you see that happening. You know, even the vendors find it so comfortable that in such time they can sell things easily, and then nothing
more
happens.
Like when the conference is happening, then some people are distracted. It's as if they are there mainly for the buying and selling of, and you'll be wondering what is really happening. These are the people that are supposed to sit in the hall to go through the programs, but they are distracted, and some might be in their hostels, you know, not coming for the exercise, not coming to hear any. I think there are some that pick what is important and what is not, like they pick from the program what they should attend and what they should not attend. And
then the issue of quality control again, because in such conference, that's when we find, you know, certain people that are being saddled with a particular responsibility, maybe by the central committee, that you are going to do this. For instance, like in our own case, we are to produce CDs, the entire program, and then give it to them. Then, not knowing, later some people are buying the CD from us and they are reduplicating and they are selling at the venue without us even knowing. It was later we now discover. So you find things like that. Some people are being allowed to come with a particular thing, and some people are using inferior still in that same setting. And then, you know, I don't know, maybe.
Well, maybe we need to invite Jesus again to come with his whip in that conference, because when people were selling in the temple, he had to use the whip to chase them out. We are trying seriously to make sure we check out the activities of those that are going to be vendors in this conference so that they don't sell while sessions are actually on. That is boldly, written in our program booklet. We are telling that nobody should go to buy anything, and we are telling all of the vendors not even to sell when sessions are actually on, but to only sell when it's time for break. And because of that, we have deliberately created more time for break during the conferences so that people could actually have enough time to go eat, to go and do all of the things they are doing. And in this conference, we're introducing 2 new things that will actually need more time. We're going to be doing a kind of a medical outreach where pastors will be attended to free. They have eye problems, they have some minor tests to be done. In fact, we're going to be doing some minor surgeries during this conference, which is going to be entirely free for pastors that will be there. But we are also going to be doing some games.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, we'll do some football, this conference, from our different zones, and then football, volleyball is what we're actually planning to do this conference. And that makes us to really create more time for people to also interact, during the conference with them, during that time. So that will, I'm sure, take, away, the long normal sessions that we normally have that could make people to want to stray away during programs. Our intention is just to have 2 sessions in a day. So in between that, we have enough time for people to rest and then to interact. So that is one of the measures we've taken or we've put in place to reduce the distractions and people running away when sessions are actually on, and we trust that the Lord is going to help us. But again, the security will really be very active, during this, because yes, we are adult. But if an adult refuses to listen to what is being said, and maybe some measures will be taken. We don't expect it to get to that level, but we'll plead for as many of our colleagues that will be there to really just set the pace for others to learn from us as pastors by keeping our time and going to the right places at the right time, so that we get the best in the conference.
So well, everything you said sounds exciting, and I can't wait for that particular change, because I know even the last time we didn't have this, but it's a good initiative to have sport, to have all these things mentioned. And the conference is starting on the 6th to 10th of December 2021 at Bingham University, Karu. Yes, and we expect that you viewers should ask questions on what you want to know based on the preparation, because we'll be having more people, more pastors or more attendees who will be talking based on their capacity as pastors or based on their capacity as any member of a planning committee for the conference, where we are creating awareness, and bringing information to ECWA members and even people at large if they have interest in what is expected at the pastors conference and why things are done the way they are. I would like us to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll continue with the discussion, and remember that we are live on Facebook and on YouTube too, where you can drop your comments, your feedback, and any even likes or anything you would like us to discuss on the program today. And we still have Reverend Daria in the studio, and we'll be back. It's still today's live on ECWA Television Africa, and my name is Joyce. I still have Sambo Solomon in the studio with me, and we've been talking the ECWA International Pastors Conference, which has been branded as EIPC 2021. And still we're talking to Reverend Chris Daria, who is the ELWA Director and who is part of the planning committee in charge of the Secretariat of the planning of the forthcoming EIPC 2021. So, sir, can you give us a little rundown of the program, like what is expected, from day one till the end of, if if you can remember some of them of interest.
Again, on the 6th of December, that is the first day of the conference, we're expecting to have all the attendees of this conference arrive to the venue. They're traveling from different locations in this country and even outside this nation to come for this conference. And we are praying earnestly that the Lord will bring them safely. Well, on the 7th of December, it's what we refer to as the opening ceremony. And this opening ceremony, we are going to have dignitaries, we're going to have some state governors attend, we're going to have the vice president of our country in that meeting. And the expectation of that first meeting is to be able to talk on the conference ground that we want to develop. This year we are setting as a target to raise ₦1 billion so that work will be ongoing on the conference side, that the next conference will be held in our own permanent side, and we're trusting the Lord so well to be able to have that done. Every DCC that is coming for this conference is already given a target. The committee had given their target, which was approved by the General Church Council, to all of the DCCs, and they will be bringing or sending even the monies into the account before that time. But every invitee will come to also help us to support what is happening. We anticipate to have the Deputy Governor of Gombe State. We expect to have the Governor of Benue State, who has actually said he's going to be in attendance. We anticipate to have the Vice President of our country who is going to be there. We also are working, we are going to have the Governor of Nasarawa State who is going to be there. And hopefully the Governor of Taraba State. And all of this will be around to grace this occasion on that day, apart from other dignitaries that we're actually bringing for the opening ceremony. Now, the second, session that evening will actually be a lighter one where, pastors will actually interact amongst themselves as to the challenges of the ministry from their different locations, and they're going to break into different groups. Okay. There will be no central teacher, but in these groups, they will be discussing among themselves what are really the challenges of doing ministry in our contemporary society. They will bring out these challenges, and they will also propose solutions to these challenges from their own groups. And as we come together, we have different groups just report what they've actually spoken about from their groups, and then see how we can cap up that, harmonize that together. And following that, we'll just go to do some little exercises, outside, and that would be it for the day. Well, the second day, we're going to have, 2 sessions. Well, we begin with an early morning session, which is supposed to be a kind of a devotion that brings all of us together. But this year, we are trying to bring, what we call, the CMP group to come and bring about a model, of doing Bible studies in the churches. Is a group we've invited to come and take us through that process. And the morning sessions, which is just like a devotion, just an hour, will be spent with these individuals, impacting and bringing about these principles for pastors to pick and return back to work on this in their own various churches. And then there will be a session that the guest speaker will actually be preaching. Actually, the guest speaker will preach on the opening ceremony because he's the main speaker, and he's also going to be having a session on the second day. And the guest speaker for this conference is Reverend Professor Bitrus Sarma, the provost of our prestigious seminary in Kaguru. He's going to be, preaching there. Now, we are going to have a second session. In between the first session and the second session, we're going to go for a break, and those that have health challenges will just walk into the clinic there to meet with our doctors for the medical outreach. And they're going to have like 3 hours, to play around with in that place to be able to see whatever is happening. And then we'll return back for a next session that will come and have a teaching. Now, in this teaching, we're expecting to have, 2 different people that will teach. We have one, Mrs. Ruth Dool. You're surprised that we're bringing a woman to teach in the pastor's conference. Again, it's really very wonderful. And we want her to talk about team relationship. We discovered the need for us to talk about relationships among pastors, for pastors to also be able to build teams in their churches so that they can work together, to accomplish the tasks that God has given unto them. Mrs. Ruth Dool is the director of Crudan in Jos, and she has actually obliged to be there to be a blessing. She wants to do a kind of a group, model, teaching and with pastors working on their personal lives to understand their leadership skills. She's giving me the question. I've walked through the question myself, and I've given some few people, and it's really very exciting, because then when you answer the questions correctly, you know the kind of leader you are already. You know your weaknesses, and you know how to be able to build them up. I've worked on that. Like I said, I've given all the members of the Central Committee, they are working on that, and I've also given some sample individuals, and the feedback is really very wonderful. Now the idea is to have every pastor that will be attending work on those questions, to be able to tell you who you are and then how you need help. The ECWA president will also be handling the other teaching, and he'll be talking about challenges confronting our ministry, which is really very important. And he'll be taking the next teaching during the conference, which is going to be on the third day of the conference. And so sermon in the morning, teaching in the evening, sermon in the morning, teaching in the evening, and then in between that we have the medical outreach, and the evenings we actually have the games. And like I said, we're pairing zones. Maybe the Gada zone will be playing, maybe the Kaduna zone, the Jos zone will be playing, maybe the Eastern zone. So we are going to have these zones into groups, and they will be playing themselves. Yeah, we don't expect them to play 45 minutes, because we want to have a lot of casualties. But we're thinking of maybe 15 minutes, so that we still have our pastors back safe and sound to continue with the ministry. It's going to be a kind of a novelty, game. But again, we expect to have a winner, and we want to give a trophy to the winning zone. Yes, during this conference. And so, as many pastors that are watching, you need to get your boots set. You need to get your converses set for the volleyball, there in the conference. And I'm sure you regret, coming. And then on Friday will actually be the, the departure. The expectation is for us to end the conference on Thursday in the evening. After the games, the next day in the morning, everybody just begins to travel back on Friday, so that they have Saturday to rest, and then Sunday they continue the ministry that the Lord has actually in their hands. That's the plans we have for the program.
It's a beautiful plan, and something you mentioned, even though you said something about it, like bringing a woman to pastors' conference too. This is for jokes too. At the Women Fellowship conference too, you bring men to preach or to take word teaching or the other. So I expect that.
If not dominating. Because so many people are
teaching. It's the man's role.
Okay.
But that's Women's Fellowship program. Women should be able to.
They are wives of men, so the men should teach them.
So for those that have been asking, just like we are confused, why a women's program you have men dominating it? He has answered you. So
no, that's also by the way. But again, for some of us growing up, in ECWA, we have noticed that it's centrally a man's ministry to teach, and it's like authoritative teaching of the Bible is a man's role and not a woman's role. And some that will go through the injunctions that Paul will even say that the woman should not even ask a question in the church. She should just ask her husband at home and all of those kind of stuff. But we believe strongly in the fact that the same God that created the man is the one that made the woman, and the same blood that brought us to faith is the same. It's not more in the man or the woman. We believe that women could have some specific ministries that could be done to build the body of Christ, and if we identify such, why not? They have opportunities to come and share in any of our meetings. Yes, they have been invited to come and share, and that is why we are gladly having our sister Mrs. Dual to come and handle this aspect, because she can contribute to making our ministries better.
And I want to salute ECWA as a nation for how they treat even the women, let me say the group. Generally, in some ministries, there's a way they look at women, just like the way you said, earlier before, a woman should not even say anything in the church, and the rest. But you will see in our programs, whether from the LC level or DCC level, you see women coming, the church identify those professionals that are doing well, and then give them platform to contribute their own quota to the body of Christ, like you mentioned, which is very, very encouraging. And on a lighter note, when they will say, maybe that's the reason. They said once you remove women, there's no ECWA. On a lighter note, though. So maybe the leadership is being careful. So you have to involve them so that we'll go together. But anyway, we respect ECWA for that, for giving women a platform to really explore and to contribute to their own quota to the body of Christ. I want to quickly ask this. You have just you just gave us the rundown of how the program is going to be, and it's so interesting that to become a pastor now is hungering me. I'm just feeling like I should come as a pastor so that I will partake in one of the games, particularly football.
You can be the referee.
We don't want him as a referee.
Okay,
I can't guarantee that he will not be biased.
Oh, wow.
He might go for his own zone and give them the trophy.
No, okay, if he's going to officiate, we'll make sure he's not officiating when his zone is playing.
Yeah,
okay. That's a good one. Okay, we'll see to that. That is if I even agree to participate on that note.
They've never accepted it, so just remove it.
Okay, I want us to look at timing. Okay. It's one key thing that it's very important in every garden, particularly in an organized setting. You know, there's this thing that they will tell you that is an African thing. While you are projecting your world, you're projecting yourself to the globe, and then there are certain things that ordinarily shouldn't have. But you will see them playing either knowingly or unknowingly. And then before you know it, at the end of the day or end of the conference or gathering or program, you'll find out that those things, normally do damage.
They
somehow
give delay, distraction. Just like, for example, if I may, during the devotion, you might see some pastors just strolling in while the devotion is ongoing. It causes distraction.
Yes.
Or someone, a resource person or an announcer taking longer time than what has been approved. Then it will endogate and stretch into another person's time. And at the end of the day, maybe you want your afternoon session to end by, let's say, 3 o'clock, and it might be ended by 4:30 or 5.
It's really very painful. And for me as an individual, I don't like the word African time. For me, I feel it's an insult to the African, because the Africans don't have a different time from what God has created.
Sure.
If God has made 24 hours, we are supposed to organize our activities around the 24 hours and not to give a nickname to a thing we call African time. We are trying as much as we can to make sure that we actually stick to the time. But again, like we say, sometimes there are some events that might go a little beyond time. We are not praying for such to happen, and we'll try as much as possible to manage that, because again, we'll put people on notice. All of those that are preaching or teaching, we've told them the number of minutes, or time they're going to spend, and we just pray that they're able to stick to that. Well, yes, we have. We're actually having some singing groups that will actually come, during the conference. Maybe a choir group, a women's fellowship group, just to give, a song during, some of the sessions to come. And we are also hoping and trusting that they will not be able to go beyond, the time allotted for them. But again, it's a denomination, and some of our ministries, in ECWA will want to say one thing or the other. We know already some have indicated interest. We're trying to make sure we also organize the time in which, in fact, some of them are already included in the program with the time that is allotted to them to be able to speak. And we hope that we will not have those that are gate crashers, that will come at a damn minute and then they tell you, I want to say something. And for such individuals, when you say no, it becomes an offense.
Yes.
But again, we're working along with our leaders, and we trust that when our leaders say no to it, I'm sure they will all understand. And we want to begin from this moment to really make people to understand that when you are said, denied, is because of the programs we've planned and because of the time we want to be able to spend so that we execute this conference well. And I just hope people will understand that. And for our pastors who will actually stroll late, we want to plead. You are leaving your home, your church, that your pastor to come for this conference, and that's the major reason you are there. integrity demands that I'm at a program at a time I'm supposed to be there, and not to come later than that time. And for some of us, it's for no just reasons. We might just be sleeping, or we might be doing different kinds of things, and we walk into the place that we want to sincerely, plead with our colleagues to just make sure we organize our life around the timings in the program so that we are there. There's a time for everything. There'll be a time for you to rest. Honestly, we want to give time because we know you are so burdened with what you're doing and you need some time to rest. That's why we made the program a little bit lighter so that you can have more time to rest. And we just trust you understand what we are doing.
Okay, for this magnitude of program, are you streaming?
Yeah, we hope to do that, to have it, streamed, live, yes, for people to be able to watch what is happening. And obviously, we'll use our Equa TV to make that happen. I've spoken with the MD already on that, and I'm sure it's he's working towards what could be done as far as that is concerned. So we trust that people at home could be able to follow us while that is going on.
And Equa is international. We have international viewers. We have members in diaspora, and we have pastors that can't even fly down because of one reason or the other, just like you mentioned earlier. So it will be important for the program to be streamed live so that at least they can have the information passed across, and they will be able to participate too, because we have the comment section, and they won't lose out in most of the information. You see how everything is now global. Back then, I think the conference has been a bit not out there, but with the invention of the television and even the radio, information is out there. Well, generally, we've been talking about the numbers of the pastors coming, and I know it's a very big event that maybe we might have a lot of eyes in it. Do we have a security strategy in it? I know you mentioned it earlier, but briefly, then what about the COVID-19 protocols?
Yeah, we actually are working to make sure we cover all of this. Our security ultimately is in the hands of God, but as human beings, God has also given us the responsibility and the wisdom to be able to work, and we have contacted all those that needs to be contacted. We've spoken with the Commissioner of Police of Nasarawa State. We've spoken with the military, formation around there. We've spoken with the DSS. We've spoken with the road safety. We've actually spoken with the civil defense. We've spoken with the Boys Brigade, and all of those will be,
internal structures.
Yes, all internal security structures, even the hunters. We've spoken with them to make sure that they are around, that place to do their own work. But we ultimately trust that God, will go ahead of them to give unto us security for all of this period. So everything is actually set in place to make sure that the program is well secured. Well, a program of that nature with a magnitude of people, because of the protocols for the COVID, we will not actually be doing in an enclosed hall because of the number we have. So we're going to be outside, and that is one of the strategies, to just make sure that that is taken care of. And so that is also taken into account. We're working towards that to make sure all of the COVID-19 protocols are adhered to.
That's great.
We're trusting that every one of us will understand that and work towards that so that we get a wonderful conference.
Okay, quickly, the choice of the speaker, or those that will be speaking, what prompted that?
Okay, what prompted that is for us to be able to bring about speakers in the conference. The committee that is made up of 15 individuals, we'll search together. Well, this is the team we have, for this conference. Who are the possible speakers we're going to bring? And we had different suggestions from members of the group. And obviously, we have to, streamline all of these suggestions to 3 names. From the 3 names, we now submit them to the Equa executive for approval. And we thank the Equa executive because the one we had on the top was the one they just gave an approval. They didn't really have to interfere with the suggestions we made for them. In all of these speakers, they didn't say no to this one, but they said if these are your preference, these are the ones we are going for. Now we also consider the people there and what we think they can be able to offer. Some of us have sat under Professor Sarma and we've listened to him. We know he's a seasoned preacher of the word that has the contextual knowledge of our country and our denomination, ECWA, and he can be able to do good exegesis on the passages. And so we brought him, you know, and then some of us have also sat under Mrs. Du, like I said, listened to her talk about team relationship, and we felt this is what we want. If we have that, and so we chose her, and then even the ECWA president. So we brought, you know, those together, and then we had the approval. The AE mandated us to go and speak with them, and we contacted each of them, and they were willing. And so we invited them.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Well, we've been talking the ECWA International Pastors Conference 2021, and we are just about to wrap up on the show, and I just want to appreciate people that have been watching on Facebook. We had Dauda Michelle Abata watching with us. We have Duchi Tabitha, we have Buki Steve, we have Shadrach Thomas, Sheko, Gami, and so many. We have Mausin and Samson watching too, and so many people watching, and I just mentioned a few. We just want to appreciate you for watching, and I believe that you've been informed and you are aware about the proceedings and processes of the ECWA International Pastors Conference, and we'll be talking more with Reverend Chris Daria if there are needs that we'll have to bring him back to the studio to talk, and we'll be bringing more committee members too, and even pastors that will be attending from different regions, so that we'll hear about their expectations and whatsoever they would like to share with us. Sambo, before we wrap up, do you have anything to say?
No, I'll just appreciate them for watching.
And Sarah, do you have anything to say?
Well, just trusting that the Lord will give unto us a wonderful conference. Keep praying and asking the Lord to help the planning processes to come to pass successfully. At the end, we'll all celebrate what has happened.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching today's episode. And we just want to appreciate the ECWA executive for this platform given to us to create awareness and to bring information to its members out there and even to the general public. We appreciate it. And to our supporters, thank you for your untiring support, your finances, your prayer. It is moving the station higher. And please keep believing in us and please keep supporting us. Thank you very much. Join us tomorrow for another fresh episode of Today's Life. Bye.